Let me share my screen and hope you're able to see the screen now. Okay, fine.
Just one request only.
Okay,
Yesterday when giving the presentation, there was a latency.
okay,
So when he was moving the screen load and talking about the screen, what you were sharing about,
okay,
there was a gap.
okay.
So if you go a bit slower, it will be helpful for everyone.
Definitely, definitely. How about now you're able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, the agenda.
Yes.
Excuse me. Oh, well, continuing to the yesterday's agenda uh, on the Microsoft Test Manager, we will be today focusing upon the ad hoc testing, which is nothing but exploratory testing in Microsoft Test Manager. And also I would like to talk about auto test step creation. As a tester, you do not, strictly speaking, do not require to write your test steps. Microsoft Test Manager is a tool which creates test steps for you. That was an amazing features of Microsoft Test Manager, where today I'll be going to demonstrate. And there's a functionality where you can generate the code. Okay, sure, thanks. Okay, and I'll be talking something about generating the code out of the executed manual test case. You must have remembered yesterday we had recorded couple of test cases and we had played it back, and how to generate a code out of those manual test case, and how you can add your own logic, how you can extend the existing manual test case in an automated way. Of this, in one of the functionality, which is nothing but your regression testing, I'll be going to talk in a while. And also how to validate controls. Yesterday there was someone asking how to validate controls and how to add assertions to the existing recorded scenarios. Today I'll be talking that. And finally I'll be talking about test case reporting, what all the reporting functionalities that are available with the Microsoft Test Manager. And finally I'll give you a summary of the performance testing, because Microsoft Test Manager, in fact VSTS testing stack, has not only the manual testing but also automation and also the performance testing. I'll be talking about the little words of the performance testing as well. There are no much slides for the day, so I'll be quickly navigating to my virtual machine. I'll directly start showing you a few demos on how all these features can be achieved with Microsoft Test Manager. If you remember yesterday's training session, a webcast, I was talking about basic record and playback, and how record and playback helps me in certain scenarios, and how auto data binding, how you can parameterize in a scenarios where you want to test with high with a huge number of input data. And also we had seen capturing the diagnostic data, like rich bug information, which we have seen, where a tester can quickly go and where the developer can easily get to know much information related to the bug. There are some of the functionality which we have seen, kind of how to create a test plan, test suite, and the test cases and all. But today we'll be going a little advanced capabilities. Let me navigate through my virtual machine. I've navigated through my virtual machine. Let me fire up my Visual Studio Microsoft Test Manager. Oh, thank you. Sorry. Uh, Kindly let me know if you're able to see my Microsoft Test Manager over here. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yesterday we have seen, how to create the test cases and how to execute them, the importance of plan and the test tab, and how you can, record and playback, and how you can parameterize, the values, things like we have seen, how a rich bug, would help in a scenarios where developers and testers do not require to talk. Whereas in today's thing, I'll be talking about the ad hoc testing, which is nothing but exploratory testing. Say there would be scenarios where you, as a tester, you would be exploring the app. Probably have clicked on page 1, navigated to page 10, have again navigated to few pages, probably clicked certain buttons and accessed to certain files. All of a sudden, you find at a particular point of time you had encountered a bug, and you don't know how it has actually come up. Probably you don't know, you cannot reproduce bug. There are scenarios where you cannot reproduce a bug. In that scenarios, there's a bug but you cannot reproduce it. You cannot tell to your development team saying that there's a bug, but there's a bug, you don't know how it actually come up. So in order to overcome certain scenarios, there's something called your exploratory testing, that is out of the box functionality of your uh, uh, this is right now, I had enlarged my screen. Sorry, this is the maximum I could enlarge. Okay, sure, thank you. uh, so what exactly I want to show you is, like, as a tester, I manually access certain app and I navigate through multiple pages. Finally I can figure out a bug here, and I'll see how I can reproduce a bug so that I can pass the information to my development team. So what exactly I'm trying to do is, like, there's a link over here called do exploratory testing, right? Do exploratory testing. I can click on to say this link called do exploratory testing. So the moment I click on to say do exploratory testing, I can pick some requirement where my business analyst has created, and I can explore those requirement, or I can simply click on to say explore button, and I can navigate through my web pages. What is exactly this Microsoft Test Manager does is it records every action that you're performing through a screenshot. So you navigated on a button one, so it captures as a screenshot and saves into your test case, so that if there's a certain scenarios where you encountered a bug, so that you can go back through the screenshots and you can see how you had come to the, so that it helps you to reproduce the bug. So what exactly I'm trying to do is, like, I clicked on something called explore, right? I clicked on called explore, so it opens up the same window yesterday that we have seen called Microsoft Test Runner, the same window. But the difference between yesterday's window, which we had open, and today's window is that yesterday you were able to see the list of test steps. Say test step 1, open an app; test step 2, perform certain actions; and test step 3, and the close some app, something like that. But today you'll not be able to see any, you cannot see any test steps here, because we are kind of just exploring it, and there are no test steps or neither test cases. So what it is, like, I click on to say start the testing, right? I click on to say something called start the testing, and it would start my testing, right? At the left bottom of your screen, you we'll be able to see something called recording. Can you see, right? There's something called the duration of your current session. It starts recording, which means that it is capturing every event that is happening, right? It's capturing every event, what exactly happening, which button has been clicked, what is the technology of the window that has been opened. It captures every action. So what I do is like, let me navigate to my application here. I open my web browser, and let me click on to say, let me open my intranet site. Hello, I I I did something I did very simple. I clicked on explore my app, and it started. I'm exploring my app, but behind the screen it is recording every action that is being performed at the front end. So let me click on to say dashboard. I guess my dashboard looks pretty good, and the ticket section, yes, yeah, the ticket section also looks pretty good, and navigated through the customers page. Well, the customers page also looks pretty good to me. And the employees, let me navigate through a few of the employees and see what exactly my employees are doing over here. So there are like 4 employees in my department. Well, Jonathan, Brand, James and all. Fine, let me navigate back to the tickets, and which means that I'm manually accessing. So let me click on to this reference number. So I clicked on to say this reference number, and there's a multiple options that I can see called assign, edit and delete and escalate. So what I can do is like, let me click on to say close this one. I don't want to access this detail section. So what I can do is like, I can close this one. Oh, the moment I click on to say close, there was some server error. There was some error. Oh, I got this one. So finally I find a bug over here. So there could be scenarios like you navigated through multiple pages, finally you have got this error. So what I can do is over here is like, so I can file a bug to my development team by clicking a single button called create bug. Can you all see, right? There's something called create bug button, simple. The moment I click on to say create bug, right, the top left corner I can see a create bug. The moment I click on to say create bug, it captures the complete data and diagnostic which I have configured. The data and diagnostic may include your action log, may include your screenshots, may include your videos, everything. But out of the box it captures something like here. If you could see in the repro steps of your bug work item, I'll just wait for a few seconds. I believe that everyone should be able to see my bug work item. Right, this is my bug work item. Well, the moment I able to see this bug work item, at the bottom you can actually see, right, what all the actions that I had performed. It is captured as a screenshot, right? I can enlarge the screenshot. What I can do is like, I can click on to say change steps. There is an option here. This is helpful where you have navigated through probably 20-30 steps, but at the last you have figured out a bug, but you do not want to include all these 20 steps. At the time you can actually ignore the unwanted test recording that you have recorded. I can click on to say this change steps. It opens up a change step window where you can actually see the exact recording what had happened. The moment I highlight any of the recorded test recorded step, it opens me as a screenshot saying that okay, in this particular web page you had clicked an icon called intranet web page, a favorite icon, and the next point of time you had clicked something called a dashboard, right? Right, you had clicked something called a dashboard link, and later then you can see something called tickets link. There's multiple links I can go through, which means that it would pass the complete information would be passed on to your development team so that they can easily reproduce this bug. The major advantage of this exploratory testing is, right, you can easily reproduce a bug. At times you encountered some bug where you don't know how to reproduce it. So what exactly I'm trying to do is like, I click on to say do not select. So let me give a name to my bug, say exploratory. At some section 100, right? I have provided some name. If you see at the right bottom corner, right, you can see an option called save and create the test, right? So say for example, as a developer, right, the moment the tester finds some bug and the developer navigates through and files a bug, fixes a bug. So tomorrow the tester needs to test this bug once again. Tester needs to test the complete scenario once again. So if he wants to test all the scenarios, like navigating through so and so site, clicking onto my links, navigating through, do a tester require to write all the test steps again? I would say in a normal scenarios, yes, he needs to write. But with the help of Microsoft Test Manager, you do not require to write all the test steps again. There is an option called save and create test. So what does it does is, what all the actions that I had performed over here, it records as test steps and it creates a test case for me. So what exactly I'm trying to do is, like, I click on to say save and create the test, right? I click on to save and create test. The moment I create save and test case, the bug has been created, right? The bug has been created, option 1. And the second thing, you can actually see a test case also has been created by your Microsoft Test Manager. Let me open this window clearly so that you will be able to see. Hope you are able to see this. This is a test case, right? There's a test case, and the bottom you can see all the test steps. So where exactly we had clicked, what all the pages that I navigated through, what all the options that I performed. Hope you're able to see my screen. Yes, so you can actually see here, since these are the rich text boxes, you can go and modify your respective fields, and also you can go ahead and parameterize. The moment you type say at the rate on so and so this thing, it will create a particular parameter for me, where you can go and parameterize this particular test case. So this is nothing but your exploratory testing in your Microsoft Test Manager. So it helps you to reproduce a bug at times where you cannot reproduce. And it has got so if you want to create an automated test case, probably you can navigate through multiple links and you can generate a test case out of that. So that there's an at the top left corner, you can see there's an option called create bug and create test case. So you can either do multiple things based on your requirement, and the diagnostic adapter remains the same. Probably when recording this bug, if I had used even the video recording, IntelliTrace for the developers to quickly debug, for some other information like event logs and all, that will be captured as a part of your bug, which helps that the developers can quickly go and fix it. So this is going to be this is the basic exploratory testing and the automated test case generation. So I'm just let me provide some name. I would say demo TC. I click on to the save and close. So let me close this window as well. I'm closing all these windows. Let me click on to say M testing. Right, so right now it is got tested. Okay, there's an option here where you can okay, there are multiple ways. There are some other functionalities which I would like to demonstrate here. There are scenarios where from yesterday's webcast and today's webcast, you can find some there's some I wouldn't say drawback, but there's a functionality which isn't available. Something like, when I recorded my test case, when I play back those test case, the playback is running 2x times faster than the actual recording. Right, the moment I click on to say select something and play, the playback is running pretty fast. So during the time of playback, I want to wait for certain amount of time. I want to validate the controls, whether the control ID is so and so, whether the control or the particular object is returning so and so, the value or things like that. I want to do that. So how do I can do is very simple. All you need to do is you need to create a test in your Visual Studio, right? It will allow you to have two options, whether you want to test from the scratch or you want to use an existing action recording, where I would pass this as your project, so it creates a code for me. Just for the sake of the demo, I'll be using this particular this test cases called 316 and 318. 316 and 318 is my ID, the test case ID. So what I am trying to do is, like, I opened up my Visual Studio, right? I create a project called Coded UI. So in order to create this project, all I need to do is like click on File, New Project, File, New Project. It's a default creation of project in your Visual Studio. Probably if you're a tester and if you don't have access to Visual Studio, it's pretty straightforward. File, new project, that's all. Over here, it would allow you to create the project in two different languages. One is Visual C#, the second one is Visual Basic. In order to create the project and execute this test project, you would require minimum either VB or minimum C# skills. A little programming skills would help here. So what I am trying to do is, like, I selected a tab called Test and clicked a project called Coded UI Test. Coded UI Test, which is nothing but your regression testing here. Let me provide a sample name, demo name. Demos UIT is my project one, is my project name. I click on to say OK. If you observe very carefully, simple what I did was I fired up my Visual Studio, File, New Project, created the project. That's all. Gave some name and selected the Coded UI project and clicked on to say OK. Well, once the project has been created, it would throw a pop-up to me. The pop-up appears with two radio buttons. The first radio button is like record actions, edit UI map or add assertions, the first option. The second option is use an existing action recording, right? The first option is like, if you want to automate certain scenario, if you want to record and playback certain scenario, in fact you do not require Microsoft Test Manager. You can if you are a good developer, I mean, like, if you know good enough of C# programming language, you can directly code here. Or if not, you can actually use Microsoft Test Manager tool as well in scenarios that will be very helpful. So what exactly I'm trying to do is, like, I use the second option called use an existing action recording. So I can import my test case from my Microsoft Test Manager to Visual Studio and generate a code and modify the existing code, and I explain you how it actually works. So what I do is, like, I use the second option, use an existing action recording, and click on to say OK. The moment I click on to say OK, it has come up something called work item picker. So all I need to do is, like, I need to provide the ID of the test case. In this case it is 316, I guess. Okay. If you see here, the moment I provided 316, it has come up this test case. You might ask me, how does my Visual Studio know where exactly this test case is available? If you see at the far right of the screen, my Visual Studio is connected to a project called Demo CMMI. Right? My Visual Studio has been connected. Even the testers who use Microsoft Test Manager are also connected to that respective respective team project, respective TFS project. So just you need to connect to your TFS team foundation server. Only then you will be able to get this particular test case. So what I do is, like, I selected this particular test case and click on to say OK. Right, the moment I click on to say OK, it generates me the complete code, what exactly I had recorded. It is still generating. Let me maximize my screen so that you'll be able to see. Over here in this method called coded UI test method 1, you can actually see 3 methods. If you were there yesterday's test case creation, these are actually the test steps. Open app, perform some actions, coded close the app. These are actually 3 test steps, and it created as a methods here. So if I want to go to the definition of this particular method, open app, perform some actions and close the app, I can click on to say OK and go to Alt F12. It provides me the inline window. Let me open the perform action so that I can explain clearly. Okay, I navigated through. I pressed F12, which is nothing but go to definition. This feature in 2013 is called peak definition, which will provide you the inline code of the executed recorded method. Can you see the perform actions? Yesterday, what all the actions that I performed? See, the moment I created a button 8, it doesn't even simply capture the button 8. It has gone to the parent window. What is a parent window? UI calculator window is my parent window. Later then it has gone to the child window, and finally to the subchild window, the actual window. UI. This is the name of the particular control. It has captured and saved in an object here. So right now this is an object. If I scroll to little bottom, you can actually see here, right? The moment I clicked on button 8, I double clicked on button 8. See, this is a ID of the button, and you click on to say mouse dot double click of so and so button. So during the time of playback, it first of all searches for sub control, and later then to the parent control and super parent control, and performs the operation called click operation against this particular button. So what all the actions that I performed, you can actually see. Hope you are able to see my screen. I believe you're able to see my screen, the go-to definition of this particular method. Yeah, thank you. And also it provisions you to write your own logic, your own code. Say for example, you can just right click on this particular method, and you can simply say run this test. How you had played, how you are able to play back using your Microsoft Test Manager. Similar way you are able to play back here as well. But here this coded UI test will let you to modify the existing test case. Say during the time of playback, I want to play back little slower, right? I can come here and simply code my test case, something like playback. Let me write a simple class called playback dot playback settings dot delay between actions. Excuse me. If you can actually see here, I've written a simple playback playback class, used a method called delay between actions. It's a property, and I specified 3000, which signifies that 3000 milliseconds, which is nothing but 3 seconds. So every action that it performs, it waits for 3 seconds, right? I can just right click on my method, and I can simply say run this test. So it builds my project, checks for any any log any syntactical errors, and it plays back my app, plays back this app for me, right? This lets you to hand code all your scenarios. Probably if you want to navigate through certain browsers, probably you have to navigate through certain instances, you need to click there, probably you need to open someone was asking me a question, how to pass the exe file. Here I can directly pass the .exe path location so that it actually picks up the file and plays back it for you. If you could see the screen where the calculator app has opened, it is for every action it is waiting for the 3 seconds. So yesterday you are able to see this thing, right? So far this is what exactly what I performed yesterday, so that you can go and play back, reduce. You can directly hand code the scenario, provided if you know the ID of the control, you can go ahead and you can hand code directly onto your Visual Studio itself, right? I'll just show you how you can add certain validations, certain logics to the existing window, right? You can actually see how much time it has run this particular test. Let me open this test explorer window. Right, you can actually see it has ran for total 1 minute, right? This is way that you can go ahead and you can generate a code out of this scenario, and later then you can add your own logics. Probably if you want to open if this is a browser based one, right? If you want to run this test case, if you had recorded using some IE browser, you want to play back in Firefox, you want to play back it in the Chrome, you want to play back it in some other browser, you can actually hand code this scenario. It provides where you can 1 second, there's someone. Okay, okay, how about now? Something better? Oh, thank you. Thank you. You can actually see, right, this particular IntelliSense window actually shows you where you can go ahead and you can write your own set of classes or the methods or the browser windows, where it is very rich with respect to Windows API, where you can leverage the browser based classes or the WPF or WCF based classes, and you can automate the complete scenarios. This is basically auto generation of your code from your existing test case, here using the regression test case and writing your code. Right now I want to validate certain controls during the time of playback. What I can do is like very simple. I can right click here. There's an option here called use coded UI test builder. The moment I right click on this coded UI builder, we have got two options. One is record from scratch, which is nothing but add a session signal. The second one, use an existing action recording. Over here I'm using the first option. The moment I use the first option, there is a small tool called coded UI builder which runs behind the screens, which minimizes all your windows. You can actually see, let me maximize this tool called coded UI builder. This is your coded UI builder, right? The moment I click on to say record, you can record from scratch. the moment I start this one, it records every action that is happening on UI, and you can record and you can play back, something similar to your Microsoft Test Manager. There's an option called add assertion, right? Add a new control to UI map, or click on add assertions. Let me open my calculator app here. Alright, the moment I drag and drop this hair, the circle, the third option, which is the assertion box, on any of this control on your UI. So for example, the hair is the cross symbol, I can just drag and drop any of this. Can you see, right, the moment I navigated through my control, it is detecting, what is this control, right? What is this child? It detects a child control, parent control, and stepchild control. So the moment I click on to say 9, I'm releasing my I'm placing my assertion box onto the control on the button called 9. I released my cursor. The moment I released my cursor, you can actually see it has opened up a assertion window with the complete information of that control, right? What is this control? It provides you basically three different types of properties: search, control, specific, and all. Say, what is this control type, whether it is a button or hyperlink or certain text box or some image. It provides you the control type. And what is the technology that is built upon? This is built upon MSA, Microsoft, and accessibility. What is the name of this control? The name that I've specified, the developers have specified, was 9. And what is the help text? What is the display text? What is the generic properties that I can identify? Right? What is the name of the button? Has it got focus? What is the height, top, width, and all? Right? If I click on to say 9 name, I want to validate whether the name is 9 or is it dynamically changing, or you want to validate. I can click on to say name control, and you can click on to say add assertion, add an assertion. Right? There's an option called Alt A, which is nothing but add an assertion. I can click on to say add assertion. So you can specify whether this is actually equal to 9 or not equal to 9, or does it I can go ahead and use this particular compare tools, whether it ends with so and so text box, is it null, or is it starting with so and so name. I can provide some some regular expressions here to see whether this is going to be value 9 or something else, right? So that I can validate the controls, I can validate the the properties of the control onto my UI, so that you are actually validating the control status here, right? And also I want to talk about here something. Whenever you record something, it plays backs for you. During the time of recording, what exactly happens is, like, it actually captures all your control specific information and saves into a file called UI map. This is your file. This is called your UI control map file. If I expand this window, you can actually see this is an advanced XML file where it stores all your control in that XML file. So during the time of playback, this is how it figures out. So it first of all goes to your parent window, and later then it just checks whether there is something called the child subparent is available, or probably say the child is available or the subchild is available. You can actually see here, right? So this is how it internally records your control. This is how it internally stores all your controls. I hope this is clear. I'm just cancelling this assertion window. Right, I'm cancelling this particular window. I'm creating this UI map builder. So this is going to be a basic a way of generating a code out of the recorded manual strip, and and you can perform certain validations, assertions and things like that. Okay, now I'd like to talk about something called reporting. What all the different ways that you can what is the reporting with respect to your Microsoft Test Manager, and how the reporting helps me here. if you can say, there's a three ways that you can create a report, right? Three ways you can create a report. The first way you can create a report is like using inbuilt TFS work items, right? Let me open my TFS work item window. I'm just clicking on this particular hyperlink, which allows me to go through my TFS. You must have remembered yesterday where you have run a query saying that how many work items are there, how many test cases are there, how many test cases got failed. The same place we are navigating through. Excuse me. You can actually see I have opened my web access, navigated through my project called demo CMMI, and there is an option called where I can create a query, new, simply created a query. This is what I did was yesterday, new query. And over here it provides me an option here, right? There's an option here. You want to fetch what, you want to query what. This query language is called work item query language, WIQL. It's very simple. All you need to you need to select your work item type to your test case or your bug or your requirements. If you have any review, your test case review, or if there is some change request of or things like that, you want to do that, you can select your respective work item. But for the demo purpose, I just want to create all, so that I can actually see how this report works. I can click on to say any and simply run this query. Simple. What it is, I created a new query with the option called, with the default option. At the bottom you can actually see it provided me how many test cases are there, how many bugs are there, how many change requests are there, how many test case reviews are there, how many risks are there. It provides me the huge information with respect to my the test case management. So what I can do is I'm just simply saving this query so that I can generate a report out of this query. I can click on to say my test case management query, and I would say click on to say OK. Right, I selected, I just simply ran a query, work item query, simple work item type. I provided the test case or bug, whatever you can specify, and you can specify even the state, right, whether it is in past state, failed state, or I want to fetch what all failed for the day, what all passed for respective session. I can filter based on assigned to, right, who and all users are working on what all the test cases on particular sprint. Since this is a work item query language, all you need is you can select from this drop down whether you want to fetch based on status code, expert matter, or you want to fetch based on. Okay, sure, I'll wait. Kindly let me know once you're able to see this test case management query. I simply created a query, test case management query. Let me know once you're able to see this window. So far what all we have covered was very simple exploratory testing, and later then we have seen auto generation of your test cases with a single click. We have seen how to generate a code out of that with the code by test, and finally we have seen the reporting. For reporting, very simple, I simply created a new query, the work item query, gave the default options and saved that query. Right, now let me generate a report out of this. Okay, all the thing that I'm doing is with a single click. There's an option called charts under your test case management query. There's an option called charts under your test case management query. I clicked on this charts, so it provides me the option to create your your test case, like new chart. Right, this is the option called new chart. So I click on to say new chart. I simply save the query, click on new chart, the query. Well, the moment I click on to say new chart, it has provided me the bunch of options. Right, you wanted to create a pie chart, We wanted to create a bar chart, we want to create a column or stacked bar, pivot table. So what do you want to create? So I would say I want to create a pie chart. I want to group by based on the work item type. I want to see how many test cases are there, how many bugs are there, how many defects are there, how many reviews for the test cases have happened, how many requirements are. I want to see the complete information. So I can click on to see the first option called work item type. The moment I click on this work item type, it has generated this beautiful pie chart, right? So how many reviews are there? You can customize these colors. Probably for bug I want to provide the red color, and for the test case I want to provide some other color. You can customize this thing. The moment I click on to say save, it creates a pie chart for me. I'm just clicking on to say okay, right? So it has got okay. Similarly, I select let me create a couple of bar charts, a couple of pivot tables, couple of stacked flows, and different charts based on things like assigned to. I want to see which all users are working on so and so what. I want to see how many work items. I want to see the state of the task or state of any work item. Let me click on to say new chart once again. Simple. I've created a simple query and clicked on chart. It generates a chart for me. It's very pretty straightforward and it's very simple. Click on say new chart, and there's an option called bar chart. Let me navigate through work item types. Click on to say okay. So I'm just moving little ahead. Simple. It's creating a new chart, and select what option you want to have, whether you want to have pie chart, bar chart, and column chart, and click on to say okay. So it generates an amazing report for me. You can explore this particular topic as well. So at the bottom you can actually, so I've created total 4 charts. So these are your charts where you can actually see this is your pie chart, and this is your bar chart based on your test case, how many risk has occurred, how many test cases are there in this particular iteration, how many bugs has been encountered so far, how many change requests happened, and okay, what all the things which are in the active state. There is only one requirement that is in the active state, one work item. How many are the design phase proposed, so how many things are there. So similarly, what I mean to say is like this is some query. Exactly, Mr. Boris, yes, you can do that. You can add it as a team favorites. That's true, we can do that. Right? This is one way, and this is where you can go ahead and even change the colors of this particular test case. It's pretty straightforward, and you can use it. I have already created few work item charts. I can open up and show to you. This is your test case chart. There are multiple charts which I have created, like pivot tables. These are the things. So which means that the creation of there are multiple ways of creating your reports. This is one of the very simple way and straight ahead way of doing it. I'll just show you some of the couple of ways as well. Right? The second option which I want to tell you is like it generates reports on using MS Word. You require to have MS Word with a simple plugin called Test Scribe. It generates a report in dot word format, in DOCX format. How do I do is like I open my Microsoft Test Manager. If I open my Microsoft Test Manager, let me wait. I can let me open. In the Microsoft Test Manager itself, you will get to see a third option called. There's an option called Tools. The moment I click on to say Tools, you can generate a report from the test plan. So in the test plan, how many test suites are there? In a particular test suite, how many test cases are there? So how many test cases are passed? How many test cases are failed? How many test cases have been blocked? how many test cases need to be investigated. There's a multiple ways of that you can generate a test case. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I click an option called tools, right? There's an option called tools. The moment I click on to say tools, this is the test case which I have completed. I can click on to say run summary, or multiple test cases I can do. I can select either of this test case, and I can click on to say generate. It generates a Word document on the selected test cases. I can select multiple so that it can generate a report for all the test cases, but I just want to create, I can even select that. Can you see, right? I selected multiple test cases, and I can click on to say generate. Simple, navigate through this tools tab, select the test case, and click on to say generate report. It's pretty straightforward. Click on to say generate. You can actually see it is generating the particular test cases in the Word format. So it provides me the 4 sections. Test outcome. Right now, yesterday we had run 2 test cases. The 2 test cases got passed. You can actually see, it actually shows up in a different colors on how many test cases got passed, failed. You can actually show that, and if the test case has failed by so and so type, every test case has a reason. If it has got failed, I can say the suspected reason is, it could be the operating system, or it could be something else. It shows up the failed test type as well. If a test, I can show multiple pie charts. I can get to see the multiple pie charts here. This is one of the way that you can doing that, where you can generate a report. You can generate a report for whole test plan, whole test suite, but also at the test case level. Right now I have shown you how to create a test case level. Well, there is a default reporting options available with the SSRS. Team Foundation Server itself comes with SSRS pre-configured. So you get to see all the values that get saved in your database. It fetches from this database, from this warehouse database, and it creates a OLAP cubes, and finally it creates SSRS reports. In order to show that, I require to connect to one more virtual machine. Let me connect to a different virtual machine, and I can show you. I'm just navigating through my different virtual machine. Before I close this virtual machine, you can actually see what is I open one more Word doc, which provides me the plan information, test plan information, and the test suite information, and the test case information. At the left panel you can see what is the status of your test case and how many got passed, who it has been assigned to. I can get to see more information. So let me show you the traditional way of creating. In fact, you do not require to create; it automatically generates a couple of test reports for me. Let me minimize this one. Let me switch to different virtual machine. Okay. Meanwhile, I guess I can talk about something in the slides, because the reason I don't want to talk the slides earlier was so that I can. Meanwhile, this virtual machine turns on, and I can help with the slides. Let me fire up my Visual PPT, and I can explain you. Okay, let me talk about a couple of information over here, right? uh, the same thing which I had done using Microsoft Test Manager tool, you can do the same thing with right from your web, right? If you have IE browser, it's very fairly straight ahead. Create your test case and execute, and it actually works, right? Right from Team Foundation Server 2013, they have introduced a concept called web-based test. In fact, from 2012, it provides a web-based test case management. One of the limitations of this web-based test case management is like it cannot record and playback, whereas you can execute the test case and you can make it to pass, fail, and you can create your test steps and all. You can link, you can attach all your attachments and all. But whereas the record and playback is out of the box not possible, you require to have Microsoft Test Manager for that. Okay, this is also one of the points that need to be remembered. I'm moving to the next slide. Okay, this is what I was talking about with respect to the coded UI test, right, which we have created, with our Visual Studio. Out of the box, it supports the complete, web-based applications, Windows-based applications like Windows Forms, WPF applications, and if you have even the third-party, if your app has a third-party controls like InfraJetX, if you have something like Telric controls, it even is able to record all those controls as well, right? This is one of this thing I want to talk about. There's something called this is what I was talking about. I'm just moving to my next slide. This is where I can add the assertions. This is where I can add the assertions. I had demonstrated here. This is where I can create an assertion and create and validate this particular control using this assertion window, right? So that you can validate your controls during the time of your execution. Just before that, let me navigate through my reporting. Okay, this is how let me just wait till it loads the reporting. This are the reports which I am showing up on the screen are basically agile based reports, agile in the sense SSRS reports which comes out of the box with your Team Foundation server. This has got reports like your burn down report and the velocity report. So in order to see the completion work of your project, and it talks about if you got any requirement excuse me, yeah, if you got any requirement, if the requirement has been throughout tested end to end, if the requirement is associated with certain test, and what is the percentage execution of the test. Say for example, you can actually see the screen where there is a requirement called customer can see new functionality in their profile as they are introduced. This particular requirement has got 3 tests. Out of that, two are failed. You can actually see the percentage of the test, and 1 was passed, right? So in this particular requirement, what is the percentage execution of your test results? You can actually see at the top which is failed, passed, and which is not ran. Right? What is the state of your bugs as well? Right? You can actually see at the bottom there's one bug. There's total 3 bugs as encountered in this particular requirement. So how many test cases got passed and failed, and how many bugs? Whether it's resolved, no, not yet resolved. It is still in the active state. So this is like a stories overview report. There are a bunch of reports. If you are good at SSRS, you can do much more here. You can create your custom reports as well. But out of the box, these are your reports. It also shows you the related reports, with respect to the bug status report, status on iterations report, and you can also see the test case readiness, and test plan progress reports as well. And let me navigate to my next slide. Okay, you can actually see here, right? The test case has been improved from your previous previous versions of your team coordination server. This particular test reporting talks about what is your test plan, and in this particular test plan, how many test runs are there, how many times it has run. Probably for the first time it was passed, for the second time it has got failed, for the third time it has got passed. So it just tells me the number of times it has run and number of test cases here, and all the 4 instances that I ran, whether it's passed or failed or blocked or never run or so. Right, so you can get to see this in the test run results report. So right, these are the certain reports, and finally you can also see the SharePoint dashboards as well. If you got TFS, integrated to your SharePoint out of the box, TFS comes with SharePoint for your content management system, for your document management system. You get to see this window with all the respective status of your tests and test cases. Right, and just cancel. I'm just minimizing my slide share. So which means that the reporting is fairly straight ahead. It out of the box provides you the reports in with respect to the test. It also provides the respective for your test case management. It also provides the test case. Let me open one report and I can show you here. I'm navigating through my virtual machine to actually show you a real-time reports. Kindly let me know once you're able to see the demo report in my virtual machine. I guess let me navigate through that. Okay, you can actually see here, this is the test plan progress report which I was talking about. These are your out of the box reports. You can go to your the collection, the project, what is your project, and in the project it creates multiple folders like test reports, build reports, project management reports, development. There's multiple reports. In this one I accessed a report called test plan progress, where I can see how many are passed, how many are failed so and so date, and I can even export this report to different multiple options like CSV, PDF file. I can export as a PDF file to share it to my project lead or someone in my organization. I can export it to Word. I can export it to the Excel files as well. I can also filter based on the dates. These are all your SSRS reports. If you know basic SSRS, you can actually see what is exactly happening here. It picks up from OLAP cubes internally, and you can even customize. These are all your out of the box reports. You do not require to customize anything from here. This is the one that I want to talk about for the day. Before we close this thing and take some queries if you are having, the same tool, the Visual Studio, has got even the Microsoft cloud load testing. There are scenarios where you want to have a scalability testing. You want to see the performance testing of your app. So you have hosted your app in a production environment, and not knowingly after a certain load your application started crashing, or your application hangs, or it doesn't provide the response to the clients or the end users. So it is always recommended to run the performance testing or the load testing against your app to see how well it can perform before you go ahead and release. This particular load testing is a feature of Visual Studio right from your Visual Studio 2005. Back in 2005 itself, this has got this functionality. But in 2013, it has come up with something called cloud load testing. If you want to set up an environment, you can actually where you want to simulate, say for example, a few hundreds and thousands of virtual load, you require to have such a high-end configuration machines, right? Probably I want to generate, so it's a user load, you cannot procure such a high-end hardware configuration machines. This you do not require to worry. Visual Studio has got a cloud load testing functionality where it generates a load, it can simulate a load right directly from your cloud, so you do not require to have a high-end hardware configuration machine. It is based on the paper user. In fact, if you have a license, you can have unlimited virtual, and I forgot to tell you that this is one of the tool. It can generate unlimited virtual users, right? It can generate not only in tens and hundreds but also in thousands and 10,000s as well. It can generate unlimited virtual users using this cloud load testing. This is the one thing that I want to talk for the day. Well, if you have any queries, you can feel free to share with me. I'm more than happy to answer all your queries. If you're having, you can ping there. I'll be able to any queries that you are having. You can ping in this comment section if you have any queries with respect to Yes, exactly. You do not require to have a source code. Yes, it's a black box testing. You necessarily do not require to have the source code. All you require is access to the app. That's all. I hope this answers Mr. Codeville. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other quiz if you're having? Even if you don't have now, you can mail us any point of time. Mr. Bijendra Kumar is a point of contact for you. You can drop any mail to him so that he can route to us back. We can quickly reply on the mail itself. And we will be sharing certain documentations as well, some references and some additional functionalities of the Microsoft Test Manager tool, and as well as the complete testing stack. We'll be sharing probably in a couple of days, and you can actually so that you can get to see more information on that. Before we close this webcast, if there is any queries, you can feel free to post there. I'll be able to answer. Okay, thanks everyone. I believe that this session has been this webcast is pretty much helped you a lot, and I just want to thank you for your cooperation and coordination provided throughout this couple of days webcast. I'll be sharing the documentation and some advanced level information on an email to everyone. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day ahead. Thank you so much. Bye bye.